Time for another What a Shout, that Friday feeling we have here in the studio. Welcome back, wherever you are, brought to you in conjunction with Bet365, our sponsors. I'm Dave Orton, back in the chair. What a panel we have for you this weekend. We promised you the biggest guests. He just happened to bang in a Royal Ascot double. He broke his duck there. It's Kevin Stott, all the way from Skype, from Thirsk. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Cheers, yeah, thanks. No, it's good to be on.
Let's talk about your double then. If any of you don't know out there, Kevin Stott rocked up to Royal Ascot, having never had a winner before on the Saturday, bangs in the Diamond Jubilee, hello Hume, and then an hour later in the Wokingham, the Cavalry Charge. Hey Jonesy, a horse that we'd all jumped off. Absolutely fantastic. Tell us a little bit about that before we look into your background, Kevin.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. Yumzeng going in without a run, like majority of the horses in the Diamond Jubilee, but he went out there, did his best, and obviously came out on top, which was brilliant. Gave me my first Group 1, so no, it was pretty good. Then obviously, like you say, a half an hour later, Hey Jonesy goes out and shows us all that he is a good horse. He just needed a bit of help with the blinkers on. So no, definitely a good day.
Your face after that when you were coming back down the walkway was an absolute picture, Kevin. How did it feel without fans there? Was this just so surreal? I mean, it hasn't got an asterisk next to its name, but that must have been weird, right?
Yeah, no, it was very weird. Obviously, I'd ridden a Royal Ascot a few times before, not riding a winner there, but there's so many people there. The atmosphere is so good. And then obviously this year with no crowds and that made it a little bit weird, to be quite honest. But listen, a winner there is a winner, and crowds, no crowds, it still meant a lot to me,
It was certainly well deserved, and one of the stories of the week. Talking about stories, Kevin, before we go to our other guests, you were born in Copenhagen, weren't you, of course? How does a boy from Denmark end up at Kevin Ryan's yard? And of course, we're talking nearly feature film script here, Kevin. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, to be fair. No, it was Dad sent me over here when I told him that I wanted to ride racehorses. So it would have to be all Dad's fault, really. But no, he sent me straight to Kevin's, and been there ever since. Had a little stint in Newmarket with Mr. Kamani, but came back up north, and I'm very, very fortunate that everything's turned out good.
First Danish jockey to ride a Group 1 winner, am I right in that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am. It depends if you would say William Buick Danish or Norwegian. I'm not sure. His mum is Danish, but there we go. That's up to you.
You've been toppled there then. We'll fact check that. Paul Kealy joins us back in the studio. How's your week been? Mate. Talking of cliff horses, it's been another week for you, Paul, hasn't it? I'm assuming you weren't on Dark Vision at Pontefract, by the way.
I wasn't, no. I opposed him, actually. I backed the horse to finish last, which was very interesting.
For people that don't know...
I thought this has got a great chance, make all and whatever. Went out like a light. Obviously that wind operation...
Wadil Salfo,
only
wasn't
worked
it?
once.
Yeah.
So
the reason why I mentioned cliff horses, because, hey, Jonesy, come on as a tipster.
Yeah,
you're looking for the value.
I backed him most of last year. In fact, I backed Hello Yumzay most of last year as well, and I didn't back either on Royal Ascot. But I've been going through a bad spell. I need that Saturday winning, Last week, we were talking in here on the Friday. I tipped 3 winners out of 4 on a Friday. The only one that let me down was our guest, Josie Gordon, who could only finish 4th on the other one. Yeah. And then I drew another complete blank on the Saturday. I've got to get that Saturday winner, a decent one. Hopefully, I'll do it this week, but... you never know.
Absolutely. We live in hope. Talking of which, we go to Pat Cooney from our sponsors. Pat, welcome back.
Thanks very much, Dave. Good to be back on. And you talk about Saturday winners. You often hear jockeys and trainers saying they need Saturday winners. Us poor old punters do as well, don't we?
Very, very much so. Yeah, I drew a blank last Saturday as well. I was hoping to skirt over that one. Let's have a look at what's coming up on the show. Okay, so we've got the hot topic. Well, we all know what that's going to be coming up for you. It was easily written for the boys in the studio this week. We'll then be looking at the clues from last weekend. Did anything really catch our panellists' eye? What about the big stories? What will they be saying? We'll be previewing the big races as well. We'll be looking at the My Racing Double. We know you love that out there. And of course, we will be coming to you with the big calls in the big races. Never mind the naps at the end of the show. Right then, the hot topic, as I said, easily written for us this time. Three's a crowd. Come on then, let's hear it. take it away. The King George. Did you ever think we would have a year with just 2 trainers having all of the runners first and foremost?
No, very unusual. You have to remember, Judd Monty International a few years ago, See the Stars against 3 Aidan O'Brien trained horses, and 2 of them were nowhere near as good as the second and third strings this year in the King George. So it's not totally unprecedented. We have had events conspire against us. Obviously, the 3-year-old started late, so nothing's coming in. But then you've got to have a look. Think about it. Think about, can you name a single British trained older horse that would enhance that race?
No, it's very difficult, isn't it?
Right? There is a dearth of top class horses in this country, and if other people
middle distance horses,
that's the whole point. Middle distance horses. I mean, what are you thinking of? Defoe?
Oh, yeah. Well,
I
I don't mean to be disparaging about that.
Obviously, you could have Gayath could have run in a race, but I mean, he's
never going to happen.
He's run fairly recently. It's not going to happen.
With all the targets awaiting him.
He's not going to run 3 times quickly, is he? Yeah. I just don't think they'll allow him to do that anyway. You know what I mean? So there aren't many. We have what we have. It's a race. We've got a great mare that's been around for ages, extremely popular. Ascot would still have been packed.
Yes.
I think we can pretty much ensure that would have been the case.
Yeah, it was dubbed the race of the century last year,
it's not going to be a brilliant spectacle by any stretch of the imagination, but they're 4 good horses.
Yeah.
2 very good ones. And it might be a bit closer than people imagine.
Let's come to Pat Cooney then with this. Pat, turnover on the race. I mean, a bit like the Derby, I suppose, not being an anti-post race. I assume it's been well down so far.
Yeah, it's been absolutely minimal, really. And of course, we were doing our sums thinking, is Magical going to run? Is Japan going to run? And so forth. I would say in terms of turnover, year on year, it's always been the #1 turnover race of the day. I would even suggest the Moët and Chandon International, the big handicap before, it'll probably be even more turnover on it. But it is the race that will be the front page story. So it's low on turnover, but very, very high on interest.
Yeah, what 3-year-olds could have run, I guess, as well. That's the other subject there. Kevin, let's come to you then. What's been the vibe in the weighing room about this? Obviously, it's been a huge story since Monday. We kind of knew what was going to happen. Enable, though, you'd be absolutely delighted if you were Frankie Dettori, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't swap her for anything in the race, to be quite honest. I think she's still the best horse in the race. I think it all comes down to the tactics of the race, how it's run. Obviously, Mr. Gosden was saying the other day that he wouldn't mind that, Frankie going out making a run on her. But no, it's all down to the tactics, I think. But still, I don't think Enable will get beat.
Okay, well, we're going to have a look at the race as a preview itself, so no tips at this point. I think we've covered it. That's the hot topic, the King George. Right then, some racing clues from the last weekend. Paul Kealy, Irish Oaks, another classic went by. Did it feel like a classic?
No, not really. I mean, again, it was like the 4th Irish Classic when there was no British runners in the race. You had a horse, Ennis Diamond, that had run in a Ribblesdale, running at Oaks, and just didn't run a race.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where you think, there's one really good filly. There's one really good 3-year-old filly, and that's it. And she wasn't there. Love. I'm not looking towards any of those horses, making a big impact for the rest of the season.
Big story for Jill Owens, of course.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can't take away from what they've done, and he was every right to be absolutely delighted that he's won a classic. That was the plan, not to step even so up until to a mile and a half until then. Did really well, but end of the day, I don't think going forward they're going to be, they're going to be showing up in all the big races.
Let's move quickly on then. France on Sunday, Persian King came back, and it was a race he was entitled to win, but we've now got a blockbuster horse again in France, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean,
you don't sound convinced.
I'm not convinced. I mean, horses win races they're entitled to win, but then we only really find out when they go against the best, and when they start coming up. I mean, what prices are going to be against Palace Pier? I mean, I couldn't have him. I mean, I think Palace Pier will just win. We'll have to wait and see. He obviously adds another dimension to a race.
Yeah.
But let's face it, he didn't do anything special. He just won the way he should have won.
A nod to What a Shout guest then, Kevin, before I come to you. We had Stevie Donohoe on 2 weeks ago. Just happens to go and win a John Smith's Cup. Aye, Stevie on Shinjari. Do not talk to me about that horse. That is a proper cliff horse for me. My goodness gracious me. I didn't have a bean on Saturday, of course. Goes and wins well. And, of course, Josie Gordon last week said if she could ride one horse, it would be the Tin Man. Just touched off at Newbury in the Hackwood Stakes behind Tab D. Was there anything last weekend that really caught your eye, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, Tab D definitely. Going out winning from where he came from. He very improving horse, and he did it well, I thought.
Yeah, and remind us, anything for the Ryan Yard? There's a 2-year-old that you rode at, where was it? Was it Thirsk the other day? Is it Darver? Is that what he's called? The Shaker Bay horse?
Darvel, yeah.
He looked good to me.
One he's made up there. Yeah, no, he's a very nice horse. Like I say, he was very green first time out when Andrea rode him at Ada. He was very coltish, but like going up to Ayr when he won, he was a lot better with that run under his belt. He went out and
how about how about Tinocchio? Finished 4th in the super sprint, I think. I thought he shaped really well there, and he's going to come on again.
Yeah, definitely. I was drawn 1. I was right out on the wing, and he would definitely benefit from 6 or 7 furlongs. It was a very sharp run 5 at Newbury, so he was just off his feet a bit early doors, and he came home good.
Yeah.
He's a horse to look forward to, definitely.
Another super sprint for Richard Hannam, we should say. Happy Romance. Pat Cooney, one man that did get it right last week. Method was your nap of the week. Didn't he look good?
He looked good, yeah. I don't know what trip he's going to want, though, in the end. I think Connections were optimistic he might be a miler, but I think with a Commonwealth Cup now in the very much in the people's agenda, I could see him staying at 6. It looks pretty pacey, though. But I was down at Newbury for the 2 days. I was impressed with Tinocchio of Kevin's when 4th in that super sprint. But there were plenty of other notebook horses, though. I think there was one that ran on Saturday, Maximel, that finished just narrowly beaten in the 105 at Newbury. Sir Michael Stout debutant, Ryan Moore aboard. And I think they thought a bit of him before the race, thinking he'd come on a lot for the run. Well, look, he only got beat a nose in a big field, and he was very green in the parade ring, shall we say. And I think his best days are very much in front of him. So Michael Stout, I think his 2-year-olds are looking pretty sharp, which is quite unusual for us, people who tend to think they come on and improve in the later 3-year-olds. So plenty of notebook horses, but Maximel was certainly in my one.
Yeah, take note. Pat Cooney has the advantage of going to the course at the moment, unlike some others. Maximel, one to note. Right then, time to look at the big races. Where else to start with the 3:35 at Ascot on Saturday? It is the King George, not as we know it. Talk to us about exactly where the Kealy millions are going to go. Are you indeed going to play in the race?
I might have a small play. I mean, I did have a small play earlier in the week when Japan was 5-1 because, actually I thought it should have been a shorter price than Magical anyway. And obviously Magical's not in the race now, so I've got a bit of value. Still got a beat Enable. It depends. Now, I was a little bit underwhelmed by Enable in the Eclipse, to be honest. It depends how much she comes on. I mean, obviously, John Gosling said that she was about 85% fit. She's harder to get fit as she's a 6-year-old. It depends how much she comes on and how much Japan improves for going back up to 1.5 miles, which he's absolutely screaming out for. I know he won the Juddmonte International last year, but he won it from another stayer against horses, and the rest of the field weren't really Group 1 horses.
Crystal Ocean, of course.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so he beat Crystal Ocean, you had LR Cam behind
King of Comedy.
And King of Comedy was an absolute hound. And well, he is, isn't he?
We'll get to him in a bit.
So I thought that was a race, a Mile 2 race won by stayers because they were the 2 best horses in the race. And I think Japan's a proper stayer at 1.5 miles, and he's going to be better. And he's going to be, he's going to have had 2 runs. I think he's got half a chance. It's not a race. It's not a race to have a smash up in, but I certainly think he's got half a chance.
Pat Cooney, I want to come to you before going to Kevin. Paul Kealy says that it's not a race to have a smash up in. I guarantee you, a lot of people will be smashing what will probably be their favourite horse in training, Enable.
Yeah, she is the queen of the turf, isn't she? Every time she runs, she's a big gamble, and she was a big gamble when she was this 85% fit at Sandown. She's 2-1. From our point of view, I'm sure she'll be 100% ready for the race. But at 2-1, you just think 6-year-old mare, you got to be laying her at 2-1 on, and if she wins, so be it. I mean, as bookmakers, you're giving us a Juddmonte International winner, an Epsom Derby winner, and an Irish Derby winner. So it's no gimme by any means for her. And again, we got the money from her last time. I think at 2-1 on, she's more of a lay than a bet. Put it that way.
I'm surprised she's quite that short. What about you, Kevin? If you were riding an Able, what would you be setting out to do? What do you think Frankie will do? You mentioned tactics when we were talking about our hot topic. She can, of course, lead.
Yeah, like I said, I think Frankie's just gonna go out there and do it. Show that she's the best horse in the race. I think. But like you just never know with the O'Brien horses. If one of them go out and set good fractions and Frankie takes a lead, I don't know. It's hard to say, but like I say, Frankie goes out and knows he's on the best horse, and Frankie never really makes mistakes. So no, I think he's definitely on the best horse. So I'm pretty sure he'll go out and ride her as the best horse.
Well, I think we'll get a decent, strong run race to be honest, because. I mean, obviously, Sovereign stole the Irish Derby from the front. He's too good. They know that he's too good just to ignore. Right? And he's probably going to, he would imagine he's the most likely horse to make the run in Wimbledon. So they're going to have to keep tabs on him. There won't be a serpentine because he's an absolute outsider with no ability. They know that he's good enough to have won an Irish Derby already.
We're not going to see lightning strike thrice, are we?
I would not have thought. That's what I'm saying. They're going to go a reasonable gallop, and they're going to be with it rather than miles off it. That's what I would expect.
The beauty of an Able is, Paul, she goes on, she does anything, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, she's great. I mean, you can say that in absolute terms, she hasn't put up that absolute top class.
Worldy 130 figure.
Our Keith Melrose said, she's got the ability of St Nicholas Abbey and the standing of Frankel, which he said he had a problem with. I thought it was a brilliant line, but she just wins and wins and wins. And I mean, okay, she's been beat the last 2 times, but the races she's won is amazing. She's consistent, she's tough, and she deserves to be favourite.
Yeah, let's talk about the weather. We love to do this with you. I'm actually nearer to Ascot than you are, I think, although from, as the flow cries, I live in Buckinghamshire, they said it's 45 minutes from everywhere pretty much. And it's one of those weird things. And it looks like there might be a bit of rain coming down.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a look on one of the websites, myweather2.com, and it's minimal and it's going to be very warm. So I don't think, unless they're wrong, which is about even money, isn't it? Obviously,
it's my son's birthday party tomorrow. I've got a bouncy castle. There's going to be broken limbs.
I think. They did put 20 mil on Monday apparently, or what I mean.
Woo.
But it was needed. It's been warm. It's been windy a couple of days as well. So it's going to be dry. It's going to be fast ground. I don't think we've got any worries about it at all. It will be fast.
It's going to be fast ground. You heard it here. It's going to be a scintillating race. That's the team's idea, of course, of the King George. Time to look at another race then. Let's go to the Knavesmire at York. Some really good racing this weekend, and the 240 is the Sky Bet York Stakes. Some real characters in here. Now, LR Cam won it last year. He's going to be fav, we think, Paul. And there is a horse in here that I think is, on value grounds, one that I think will beat him. And you have mentioned him already. And this is a price thing for me. And I find myself having napped LR Cam at Royal Ascot. And you called me bonkers, I seem to remember. That was borne out. He didn't quite get home, did he? But
yeah, but it's a mile and a half on soft ground. You are not going to tip King of Comedy.
I am tipping King of Comedy. I've looked back. It's St James's Palace run. And I think he was going to wait in the wings. And I think he'll let them beat each other up a little bit up front, and I think he'll finally come good this day.
No, he'll say no.
You think he'll be barking?
He'll say no at about a furlong to run. And the other thing is, they'll come wide into the straight, and then he'll hang back over to the far rail. He's got no chance whatsoever.
What about LR Cam then? Because we're not talking about the most straightforward favourite here.
It's not straightforward, but this is his course and distance.
You're going to tip him?
He's got the best form in a race. Right? Jockey got a bit of stick when getting beat by Lord North at Haydock. I mean, how good does that form look now? Right? But he was still a length. He's still length and a half, length and 3/4 ahead of Telecaster. He's come out. He's run at Ascot. He had no chance at Ascot, not in a million years.
Because he attacked too far.
Trying a mile and a half for the first time on soft ground. I mean, at his age. Remember, he was a Guineas horse as a 3-year-old.
I didn't think that Jim Crowley would attack as soon as he did that day.
I never thought he had a prayer, but back at York, this is his trip. Remember, with a clear run, he'd have gone very close to winning that international last year. He's got 2 really, really good runs to his name at York, and I think he should be under 2-1, and he's about 11 to 5. So I think he's a proper bet.
On figures, I think King of Comedy will give him something to think about.
You are absolutely crazy.
Am I bonkers again?
Yep.
Let's see what Kevin Stott thinks. Give us some help on the York Stakes, Kev.
Yeah, no. Obviously, with Allegam winning that race last year, I still think that Telecaster, would go very close. But a horse that I do think would run well, and I would love to see winning, would be Lord Glitters, just because of, obviously, with Mr. Turnbull passing away, would just be huge for Sandra as well. But like, listen, Alagam is a very good horse, but Telecaster does have good form around York as well. So, I mean, it will be a very good race, I think.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm with you, Kev. I was looking to take LR Cam on. It's not because I'm bitter about what happened at Royal Ascot. I know why he got beaten there. But there are other horses in the race. Before I go to Pat.
I'm a massive fan of Lord
Same.
Glitters.
And it could be he wants a trick now.
I've always been a fan of him, and he might do. I think I backed him in a race last year, funnily enough. Did he run a race last year?
Oh, yeah, he did. He
I
did.
think I did, yeah. But no, I think it's Elecam.
Okay, all right, listen, we've done it. What does Pat Cooney think? He usually gets these things right.
Yeah, I'm a bit like yourself, Dave. I started off thinking, we can get this Elecam beat. His favourite. You have to strip out some of the lines of form and say, yeah, we'll pretend that didn't happen. That was a mile and a half. That was soft. But as Keel says, his record at York is very, very good. And actually, he won this race last year. I backed the Deeb. I was staying up at York, and it did nothing but pour down with rain on the Friday. So I thought, well, this is the smart call. I just backed Deeb. He's a mudlark. He won at Royal Ascot on soft, but Elecam absolutely slooshed him. And of course, he's a real quality horse. He probably was the unlucky loser in the Juddmonte. He is the Group 1 horse in the race. And the other rivals in the race, they're not exactly prolific winners, are they? So I just coming back to Elecam, he is the class horse of the race, and I can see him being very, very popular. This is his ideal set of circumstances at York. So I'm expecting him to win, really.
The York Stakes. Who knew? What a race. Let's go back to Ascot there in the Berkshire Royal track. Super day there, no crowd, but we do have the Moet and Chandon International Stakes. This is one of the races of the season usually. We should, by just about now, know about the characters in the race. Kevin Stott, I want to come to you. If you were drawn on one low, I've looked at the winners in this last 10 years, just once has a single figure stall come and good. That was on soft ground. Now, when you lined up in the Wokingham at Royal Ascot on that Saturday, you were drawn on the far side. How do you approach this straight track? It's one that makes us pundits tear our hair out.
I mean, it varies, I would say. It depends kind of what horse you're on and what horse, if you need a horse that's dropped in or making the running. Obviously, all the whole fancy runners in this race are all drawn high. So, I mean, you kind of would have to have a horse with a few pounds up your sleeve to go and make the run in the far side by yourself. But no, like I say, it kind of depends on what kind of horse you're riding on the day, I would say.
Did one catch your eye in this, Kev?
This is Blue Mist. Obviously, the favourite was very unlucky last time. It ran into trouble a lot. Didn't really get out in time at all. Finished well. I think the favourite would be hard to beat. But like in these big handicaps, it only takes a horse to go in with a few pounds up its sleeve that will go and run well, and next thing they'll go and win. But no, I don't have a complete fancy. I think Blue Mist to be hard to beat with a clear run.
He's one of those Blue Mist, isn't he? I mean, we've all been with him and been disappointed.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, he's he's almost everybody's favourite cliff horse. He is. He found trouble last time in the Silver Wokingham. That was down at 6 furlongs. Now, what happened in that race is, all week he'd wanted to be on the stand side, but Vintage Brute came out of stall 19 and went directly right and took most of the field with him up the centre for about a furlong and a half, 2 furlongs.
And Nahar.
And Blue Mist, obviously as a hold-up horse, went to follow the big pack rather than the small pack. And of course, the small pack involved 5 horses raced up the rail, 3 of which finished first, second and third.
He was beaten after 2 furlongs, wasn't he? So.
Well, basically, yeah. And he broke badly as well. That's part of his problem, because he does do that. But the thing is, he's run 13 times in his life. He thrashed Communique on his debut, and he's won once since. And he's been a beaten favourite 8 times.
I was amazed to see him as short as he was.
The only thing is, Ryan Moore is back on for the first time since October 2018, which is when he last won.
He's having a good week, Ryan, as well.
And you can see him weaving his way through. But I mean, this is one horse that, it just pays to oppose generally, doesn't it? Like, I prefer 2 in a race. One of them's just as much of a rogue, but is at least a much bigger price, and that is Arbelay of David O'Malley.
Oh, you had a go at me about King Comedy.
He is He is, a professional loser. You know what I mean?
time.
But he's a professional loser with a lot of talent, and he's down to a handicap mark of 91. He ran in this race. Well, he started last season rated 107. He ran in this race, finished 3/4 length second.
Was that for Hugo Palmer?
For Hugo Palmer, off 104. Now, I mean, Omar, he has this knack of teasing horses back to form, and I believe he's run quite well. Not brilliantly, but quite well. But we're talking about a horse that's been finished 5th in a Jersey, been second in this race, running in, well into the hundreds, and is now running off 91. So at 20-1, I've got to give him an each way shout. But the other one, the young, exposed, progressive, is Ebury, who won his race on the far side. I mean, there was only 4 runners on the far side at Royal Ascot, but I mean, he finished 6th in Buckingham Palace.
He did.
He finished 6th in Buckingham Palace, and the next one on his side finished 11th. That was 100-1 shot trained by Gay Colloway, but actually came out and finished 2nd in the listed race or 3rd in the listed race in France. So ran a big race.
It looked like a strong race to me, yeah.
It doesn't look like a bad piece of form, and he was just on his own basically for ages. And I think he's a young horse. He won his only previous start at Ascot last season as well. So I think he is the most likely winner.
Yeah, of the market leaders, I thought he was very strong as well. I watched that back. David O'Mara throws a few darts as well. Pat Cooney, where are you going?
Well, you look at Blue Mist, don't you? Look at his form figures. I mean, look, 6:03.629 doesn't actually smack of a horse that should be a short price favourite for a race like this. But he's undeniably a talented horse, desperately unlucky last time, as we know, well weighted. I agree with Keels. Ebury, I thought, ran ever so well at Royal Ascot and is better drawn today. If I was making a selection, it would be him. But I'm also interested in Mutamasika, Roger Varians, who ran awful in our Bet365 Bunbury Cup 2 weeks ago. But he must be okay because he's come back out again. Roger Varian wouldn't be running him unless he was happy with him. You look at the Bunbury Cup, I think he was 7-2 to win the Bunbury Cup on the day. He's 10-1 for this race. They're about the same in terms of status. So I could see there being money around for Mutamasik. If you pretend he didn't run at Newmarket and you judge him on his previous form, he should maybe even be favourite for this race. So I like Ebury and Mutamasik at their prices.
We're nodding away in here, aren't we, at that?
I can see that. Always if you give a horse one bad run. I mean, I'm terrible. I've got these cliff horses. I forgive them loads. But I mean, one bad run, you think, say, it was that price then and it's now this price now.
Correct.
If you forgot that, take that one out of the way. Hang on a minute. This is that's always a very good argument.
Oh, it's a tricky puzzle. It's the Moet and Chandon. Right then, let's have some big calls then from our panellists. I'll go first. Listen, I could have chosen quite a few this week. There was issues with the stalls I've seen. Listen, owners coming back on, being sensible. But James Best, who we've had in the studio, haven't we? Through the jump season. A real hard jumps jockey. I was covering Utoxeter on Thursday, and it was, all the feature races had gone. And yet, James Best rode a horse called Bermeo and for Johnny Fowley. And he was hard at it all the way at the home straight. And when he went over the line, it was like he had just won the National. And I know that's got a lot to do with, it's a big week, for the jump racing fraternity because of Liam Treadwell's service. And his interview afterwards was fantastic. He basically said, live for today. But the way he celebrated, why don't we see so much of that? Thor Hammer Hansen, when he won at Royal Ascot, him and Kevin Stott were the only ones that really went for it. Come on, we need to see this. We've got no crowds, but we need to ramp it up. I need to see more jockeys celebrated. What's the problem? Why don't they do it?
Yeah, I can see that. We always love to see it, but in a big race, in a small race, it's a little bit weird, isn't it? Do you not think?
Paddy Brennan does it, doesn't he? He loves to get one over the line. I just think we need to see more animation. I must admit,
there was a £7 claimer. I can't remember his name. £7 claimer I saw a couple of weeks ago. Wide his first ever winner, and
no emotion.
It was just matter of fact. And you must give yourself a little punch for that, and it didn't happen. But I think in small races it's a little bit where maybe he was just pleased because he's obviously, you said he was riding away for ages, and he's obviously given it an absolute pearl of a ride to win.
If you haven't seen it, watch back the replay. It was Utoxeter on Thursday. He absolutely goes for it, and the commentator loves it as well. And it just felt it was one of those sort of summer jumps meetings which felt a lot better because of it. Paul Kealy, a big call.
Well, yeah, you know me. It's all about the horses, isn't it? I saw a very fast one run at Naas on Wednesday, called Steel Bull, trained by Michael O'Callaghan in Kildare, and he was running against horses with experience, and it was first time out, and he was back down to 2-1, and he just travelled supremely well. And then when the gap came, jockey just pushed him, and he just went through and whoosh, and he won very easily.
We love a whoosh.
There was a low grade handicap on over the same trip, but older horse, 4-year-old horse. He was faster than the 4-year-old horse,
Okay.
and he did it, doing handstands. He's entered in the Molecomb on Wednesday. I think it'd take a very good horse to beat him.
It's fast
No
and furious.
prices on it yet, but he doesn't come from your obvious Irish stable. You know what I mean? If he comes over, so you know that having one like that, if it's trained by Aidan O'Brien, he's 5-4.
Yeah.
He might be 5-1 because he's not trained by the big name. Just keep an eye on him. Steel Bull.
A shout for Glorious Goodwood next week. Kevin Stott, give us something interesting.
Yeah, we'll be talking horses as well. I saw a nice horse last week in Rhythm Master, winning at Haydock. I think he looks a very interesting and nice horse. There was a lot of nice horses in the race. Obviously, Mr. Bolden's horse that finished placed at Ascot, and there was a nice horse at Kevin's in there as well, Cane Island. But he travelled well through the race, and as soon as Megan pushed the button, he went clear pretty quick, and I think he's very exciting to look forward to.
Anyone that doesn't know out there, that's your girlfriend, isn't it, Megan Nichols? Of course. Did you move in lockdown? Have you moved recently together?
So when we got back from Dubai, the 1st of March, we kind of moved in together straight away. But we've just bought a house now, so hopefully get the keys pretty soon, and should be in the new house within the next month, hopefully.
Getting serious. I wonder what the father-in-law thinks of that. We all know Paul quite well. That's which seamlessly brings me to Pat Cooney's big call.
Absolutely, Dave. And I was just looking at the news that broke with Jared Sullivan, the owner, taking 12 horses from Willie Mullins to put to Paul Nicholls' stable. And it got me thinking, well, surely Paul Nicholls will reclaim his champion trainer title. He lost it last year to Nicky Henderson. I think he only lost by 190,000. I mean, it's a lot of money, but nevertheless, he now gets Lorena. He gets some Dulcita, some decent horses coming his way. And of course, Top of the Game is very much a big player. Now he's back after a year off. And I was looking at the prices. I was intrigued that Nicky Henderson is odds on to win it. Paul Nicholls is obviously a well-backed second favourite. I just think Paul Nicholls, all champions love winning. And I would imagine Paul would be very, very keen to get the crown back. And he's got 12 very, very exciting horses to add to the yard. Throw in Top of the Game. I expect Paul Nicholls to be champion trainer.
There you go, Kev. What chance of you riding a bumper horse during the winter for the potential father-in-law?
I'm not too sure about that, no. But no, to be fair, I wouldn't mind trying, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, he's from Copenhagen, not from Irish, like most of the crazy ones out there. Okay, there were the big calls. Okay, then over to the Curragh on Sunday. More Group 1 action. These Super Sundays, we must keep them coming. And it's the Tattersalls Group 1 Gold Cup. Okay. Now, we're recording on Friday morning. We're still waiting for the final decks to come up. We know that Magical's going to turn up, all being well, because you swerved Enable. First of all, Paul, before we go to the other panellists, swerving Enable, all about Japan that, or is this something, I mean, first of all, amazing that she's back, isn't it? And the form wasn't harmed in the Irish Oaks.
No, it wasn't harmed at all, no. I mean, I think the point is that obviously the Tattersalls Gold Cup is normally run in May, isn't it? It's a stepping stone to Royal Ascot, and everyone, they're just trying to get all their group races run. So in case you got a middle distance Group 1 on Saturday, and you got one on Sunday, and you've got a stable that could have run 20 horses in each. Yeah. So why run your best two against each other when you can have an odds-on shot? Now the Tattersalls Gold Cup invariably has an odds-on shot in it. Normally attracts quite a small field, doesn't it? And she's there to win it. And let's face it, she's more of a 1.2 mile filly than a 1.5 mile filly. It's a stiff 1.5 mile at Ascot. Makes sense for her to go there. And she's clearly going to be very, very hard to beat.
She is a lovely filly, Kevin Stott, isn't she? Just we're expecting her to take this, another Group 1 on her CV before maybe a crack at Enable later on in the year.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the right idea to go to the Curragh and instead of taking Enable on straight away. But no, listen, I can't see her getting beat, and then obviously going on taking on Enable later on in the year would be the right shout.
Yeah, listen, so just sit back and enjoy it, Pat Cooney, I guess, isn't it? Will be one for the multiples.
Oh, without a doubt. In this race, we hardly ever get a result in it. Normally always goes to form. She's met Enable 5 times. She's currently getting beat 5-0 by Enable. So I can see wisdom in not taking her on again. And let's see what happens to Enable at Ascot. And if she's disappointing, well, maybe it's game on. But I think we all think the best filly or mare around is Love anyway. So, Love is certainly the best around for me. But Magical, yeah, in just... She's going to be desperately short on Sunday, but watch her win and look for the targets later on in the year.
Targets later on, indeed. The message here from What a Shout. Cara, Sunday, sit back, watch your champion. Okay, time for the myracing.com double. Check out their website. They've got a massive Twitter following for great expert analysis and tips. They're going for an each-way double, both at Ascot, 2:25 in the Moët and Chandon Cliffs of Capri. Jamie Osborne's got a great record in that race. And in the 3 o'clock, Rafe Beckett, they're expecting Great Ambassador to bounce back in what looks like a really hot handicap. Good luck to the boys at My Racing. Best bets then of the weekend. 205 at York for me. William Haggis, what a weekend he had there last weekend. I think that award scheme will be the one for him. Hats off for the Queen, favourite, but will probably win.
Hats off for the Queen as well. 3 o'clock, Ascot. Very interesting race this. You know what it's like. Everybody likes Frankie Dettori, John Gosden. Tsar is favourite. I don't think he's anywhere near as well treated as a couple in here. One of those being Evening Sun, trained by Roger Charlton. Ran 2 really, really good races in novices last year behind Cherokee Trail the first time. In fact, the first and third in that race finished first and third at Royal Ascot in different handicaps, and then ran second to a very good horse who's rated 102 now. King Leonidas went off favourite for the Jersey, finished 6th. I've got an initial mark of 78. Ran in another novice, bolted up, absolutely hacked up. It looked a weak race on paper, and he went up £10. And I thought, well, no, maybe that's a little bit too much, but he's won. With head in hand sort of thing.
Yeah, it was eye-catching.
And then the runner-up comes out and runs third in the listed race to Surf Dancer at York on Sunday. And is going to go up to something like 90. And he's thrashed a horse that is going to be rated 90, and he's running off 88. I think, he's got Ryan Moore on board. I think he has to go very close. It's about 6-1.
Your Majesty. 2 tips so far for you. Kevin Stott.
I ride a nice horse on Sunday in the 2:25 at York in the novice 7 Brothers. I won on him up at Ayr in his maiden, and he's a horse that I'm looking forward to be riding on Sunday. I think he's got a very good chance. As you all know, Kevin loves York, and he sends some nice horses out there, so I'm definitely looking forward to riding him Sunday.
Oh, I like that. It sounded confident, didn't it? Pat Cooney?
I'm going to Ascot the 150 for number 10, Tattersalls, TWAASOL. We remember him winning at Epsom on Derby Day. He's moving up to 7 furlongs from 6, but I spoke to Owen Burrows at Newbury on Saturday. He has a lot of time for this horse, and he just looked pretty decent to me at Epsom. A step up in grade, but I think he's a horse going places. There's not much of him, but I expect him to go very, very well on Saturday.
Worth the wait. There's your weekend 4-timer. Well, that brings the curtain down then on yet another What a Shout. My thanks to Kevin Stott. Debut on What a Shout. We'll be having you back, Kev. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Thank you.
Good luck this weekend. Look out for that horse that Kevin mentioned, of course, at York on Saturday. Paul Kealy, Glorious Goodwood on the horizon. Just going to chill out this week, or are we going to go heads down?
I'm going to be going heads down. I'm actually doing a column in the paper on Sunday, for Sunday. And then on Sunday, I will be studying day in, day out for Goodwood. I love it. I mean, funny thing is, I used to say, about 5 years ago, I used to say, the Goodwood is a licence to print money. And ever since I said that, I've done it in every single year. So hopefully, this year it'll turn. I used to back loads and loads of winners there, but I haven't found it easy over the last few. Hopefully it will turn around.
Pat Cooney then, thanks again for joining us. You'll be back every morning of What a Shout. We're going to bring to you Glorious Goodwood mornings.
Yes, absolutely. He's going to be studying hard for it. Probably Mark Johnson in the handicaps is always of interest, really. And let's not forget, we've got the Galway Festival as well. So plenty of studying to be done over the weekend.
Happy days. And let's watch out that the heavens don't open. It could be like the Somme there. Good luck wherever you're going this weekend. It's myself, Dave Orton, signing off then for another What a Shout. Don't forget, you can question all the panellists. They do read your feedback below or on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you go. Twitter, of course, hashtag What a Shout. Don't forget, you can download the free Racing Post app as well on the App Store or the Google Play Store itself. Gamble responsibly. So much more racing coming. Home in on your targets. And remember, be lucky.